All right, as promised, we are now joined by Bud Sumner of Sumner and Toner Insurance. Bud, would you like to tell us a little bit about yourself before we get rolling on the interview segment?
Absolutely. Thanks for having me. Appreciate the time. Sumner and Toner is a property casualty insurance agency. We write a lot of auto and homeowners insurance, and we've been in Needham for a few years. We have a second location in Longmeadow, Mass.
So you work in Needham, you live in Needham, so hopefully you know a lot about Needham.
Yeah, we're not interested in Longmeadow, Mass on this show.
I understand.
Yeah, so that's for the Longmeadow segment. But for now, we're going to stick with Needham, or really anywhere that you deem to be interesting. But the first question, I guess, is claims. You know, a lot of people talk about whether or not they should make a claim when something happens to their house.
Mm-hmm.
What determines when is a good time to make a claim and when's a good time to basically not make one?
Well, you should really, first of all, call your agent, and that's what we're here for, is to really discuss with you what the claim is about. Most people have a deductible, probably $500 to $1,000, and then from there, we got to see what the claim is. If it's a small claim, just a little bit of water, or if the claim is even covered, we'll determine whether you want to put it in. But that's what your agent's really there to tell you to do.
And there are times when I understand, is there a specific kind of break point where it might make sense to do it or might not make sense to do it?
No, there's always a break point. Again, with homeowners insurance, which is different than auto, the homeowners insurance, you probably want to put the claim in when it gets to be more than a few $1,000s. The reason being is the trend is people have a $1,000 deductible now in their home. If you have a $2,000 claim, you're going to end up with $1,000. But what happens is the insurance companies take away a credit. So if Ryan puts in a claim, they're going to take away a few $100s of credit for the next 3 to 4 years. So they're going to get their money back on a small claim like that.
Right. So assuming it's $300 a year that it's going to cost you for 3 years, give or take, does that sound
Correct.
about right?
That's
so
correct.
It's going to cost, typically speaking, $1,000 over the next 3 years.
Of credits that you will lose, plus your deductible. So there's your $2,000 claim. So really kind of a good rule of thumb is once it gets to be over $2,500, that's when you probably want to start talking to an adjuster.
And then if you have a claim that's $4,000 compared to a claim that's $24,000,
Mm-hmm.
does it hurt you just the same over the course of the next 3 years?
It's about the same. Unfortunately, yeah, you're still going to lose the same credit. They don't start to charge you more. Where they start to actually charge you more is where you have a frequency of claims. So if you call your agent and say, I've got 3 claims this year,
right,
that's when you're going to have a problem. That's when you're going to see your rates really go up. Not only the loss-free credit, but the insurance company's going to raise your rates.
So when you're talking about the claim, though, in terms of determining the value of your damage, I mean, there's replacement cost, and then there's the market value. How do you differentiate between the two, and how do the insurance companies accommodate for that?
Well, during a claim, you're really going to work with the adjuster to see what it costs to actually replace the wall or fix the pipe or get rid of whatever is damaged. So they have that kind of built in with the adjuster. They know how much they're going to be charging. As far as a replacement cost versus a market value, which you gentlemen were talking about, they're a little bit different. In Needham, you don't run into this very often. Sometimes you'll have a market value much lower than replacement cost. Replacement cost in insurance basically means how much would it cost to replace your house, not including your contents, no liability insurance, just almost a pure square footage.
Just from a building perspective.
From a building perspective, exactly.
Replicate what you already had.
Yeah, so if you have a house built in 1970, nice kitchen, 3 bedrooms, 2 bath, you're going to come out with a figure of maybe $500,000 replacement cost.
Okay.
So, if you've got that 3,000 square feet, then they're usually, $175 a square foot. The market value could be higher, but there you're including the land. So that's where a lot of people always question us is, what's the difference? We're talking pure building replacement of the home versus what it's valued to you guys. You guys are including everything, the land, the house, even where it's situated.
How are contents and personal possessions factored into homeowners insurance?
Well, once we determine that replacement cost, what we call the dwelling cost of the house, most insurance companies give you anywhere from 50 to 70% of the dwelling amount to be used towards contents. So if you have the house insured for $500,000, you could have anywhere from $250,000 on up for contents. So if your house burned down, you'd actually have more than $500,000 to rebuild your house, and then another $250,000 plus to refurnish your house. Everything from your bedroom set to computers to TVs.
Now, is this something that's just inherent in every policy, or as a homeowner, do you need to be sort of actively or proactively involved in like what exactly is covered in case my house goes up in flames?
Both. First of all, they're included. So when you get a homeowner's policy, you're getting contents coverage, loss of use coverage. So if you have to live somewhere else during the redo, you can go live in a Sheraton while they're rebuilding your house. At the same time, you have other structures coverage. So anything that's detached from your house, that's all part of your homeowner's policy. The dwelling amount kind of determines the amount of contents and other coverages you're going to have. That's when the agent has to work with the insured to make sure they're both comfortable with what it's insured for, not just the building, but the contents.
So I had 2 clients recently. They both, yeah, at one time too. It was unbelievable. It was a great year. So I had 2 clients. They both purchased homes that were similarly priced.
Yes.
You obviously need to get homeowners insurance to close on a house. Mm-hmm. I noticed that their policies were fairly drastically different on their annual premium.
Okay.
House was priced the same. How can you explain that?
Is the price the same, or is the replacement cost the same? So you're talking the same square footage?
Yeah. It was,
okay.
Yeah,
so
yeah.
similar size house.
Similar homes.
Age.
They both sold for let's say $300,000.
Okay.
So replacement cost, I'm guessing, would be 1. Although if they're the same house or similar
well,
replacement
if they're similar
cost,
homes, say 1,000 square feet, both homes.
Yep.
So you're really kind of talk that both homes are going to be insured for say $200,000, the replacement cost.
Okay.
So they're very similar in that nature. If you're talking about why one home's insurance premiums are higher than another, well, the one on the left may have never had any claims, had new updates, and that person's credit history is excellent.
Right.
The person on the right, the house is old, needs a new roof, the furnace is old, they've had a few claims, and their credit history is poor. So the insurance companies are going to take a lot of different things into consideration.
So there's more to it than just the actual house itself.
Exactly. And to your point earlier, that's why you get to sit with your agent and discuss all of those things, the dwelling, the replacement cost, the contents, as well as they are going to look at your credit history.
If I have a problem with my house,
Mm-hmm.
and it's not a storm that caused this fire or this huge hole in my roof, just a problem that has turned into basically a recurrent problem.
Okay.
And then all of a sudden things start to mushroom out of control. Is that something that's covered based on the fact that it's a recurring problem, or can it just be a one-shot deal?
Well, it depends. Again, that's why you got to call your agent to discuss it.
Sounds like a theme here.
Yeah.
There's
you want me to call you and ask me a question?
Please. There's maintenance versus a covered peril. And a covered peril is like a fire, a hurricane, a theft, something of that nature. That's what you buy the insurance for. If the roof is just leaking continuously over time and the roof is 20 years old, your insurance isn't going to cover that. So if, again, the furnace is old and the furnace breaks down and things start to freeze, the furnace isn't covered, but the pipes freezing might be. So that's why you got to call me.
Huh.
All right.
So like everything else, it's always in the details.
It's
in the details.
All right, so somebody's watching at home.
Yes.
And they're thinking, I couldn't even tell you what I pay. It's in escrow. I've been paying my insurance company whatever I've been paying them for 25 years. Maybe I should kind of revisit. I mean, is there some kind of, other than calling their agent, is there something they can do, whether it's a ratio of the price of their homes or comparing it to other people in the neighborhood, or just how do they kind of figure out whether or not they're paying a good number for their insurance?
Well, with the internet now, most insurance agents have websites like I do, and you can go to the website, you can log on, you can send me your information.
And what is that
I can give you a
website?
quote. SumnerToner.com.
Okay, SumnerToner.com.
So you can go to the website, contact me or any of the other agents, send us information about your house or just even your address. We can then do our own online assessment, do a drive-by, and tell you what we think the house is worth for a replacement cost and give you a rough idea of premium. From there, then we ask you those questions about credit history and claims.
All right. In 20 seconds or less, give me
Yes.
your wackiest and weirdest story as an insurance agent.
The weirdest one probably is the oil claim, where the furnace guy went in, cleaned the furnace, also put in a cleaner inside the tank, took the cap off, forgot to put the cap back on. That day, the delivery guy, of course, came, delivered oil, wasn't paying attention, and the oil then basically within about a few hours, unfortunately just wasn't paying attention, filled the basement, just a nice skim of oil. Then they had the EPA involved.
You should pass that story along to NSTAR. I'm sure they'd love that.
I'm sure they
Sounds
love
like
it.
a sticky situation.
Good one. It's a quap. Let's go off on a low note.
Yeah.
All right, well, thanks for joining us, Bud
Thanks for
Sumner.
having me. Good
job, Bud.
You got a phone number if anybody wants to contact you for any questions?
781-453-8890.
So that's it. That'll do it for What's My House Worth, along with Ryan and Bud Sumner. I am Rob Ticktin. We will see you next month. Thanks for being here.
Good night.